Well, all right, kiddos, it's time to sharpen up those edges and grease up your chains. We are going to live it up with mountain life. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, mountain lifers, mountain lovers and golden glovers, heavy hitters and forest sitters, gear inventors and pay way too much renters, sundowners and get-out-of-towners? That's right, it's time to run to the hills because spring is in the air, May-long weekend is looming, and camping season is upon us. My name is Feet Banks. This is the Live It Up with Mountain Life podcast. And this week on the pod, we have award-winning filmmaker Lara Shea talking about her films, which tackle some of the rawest human emotions and situations imaginable, which is interesting because Lara herself is like a beam of pure sunshine into your soul, but she isn't afraid to shine a bit of that light into the darker corners of outdoor culture. That is for certain. So we're in for a treat. But first, we got to give some airtime to our longtime friends and collaborators over at Jack Wolfskin, makers of sustainable outdoor clothing, gear, and footwear. Hey, mountain lifers, do you know about Jack Wolfskin? For almost 40 years, the Jack Wolfskin name and paw print have been a symbol of their trailblazing spirit and regard for nature. Inspired by an expedition in northern Canada in 1981, they've led the pack with innovative eco-conscious technologies, a commitment to social responsibility, and forward-thinking outdoor apparel and equipment designs. If you haven't seen the Jack Wolfskin paw print before, it's because they've only just completed their newest den here in North America. Jack Wolfskin will see you in the wild, wherever that is for you. Yeah, this summer weather's coming on strong, and Jack Wolfskin even has a line of jackets called Go Hike, which I like, a jacket that knows what you should be doing better than you do. Okay, so Lara Shea is a ski guide, a fly fisher, a photographer, and a visual artist who fell back into filmmaking and right away started blowing the roofs off of people's minds with her first film, 60 Seconds, which is about Paralympian snowboarder Ty Turner and how he recovered physically, but mostly emotionally, after the gnarly skydiving accident that took both his legs. I first met Lara waiting for a cab at the Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival last year, where this flick, her first, real movie, it went on to win a special jury award. The cab never came. I had to rally us there in my MILF wagon, ripping through the mean streets of North Vancouver on a Friday evening, which always sucks. But we made it. And 60 Seconds went on to pick up a bunch of awards on the ever-expanding Mountain Film Festival circuit. For her next flick, Lara stayed home in Revelstoke and pointed her attention at a young family during one of the most vulnerable periods of their lives. I'm being a little bit cryptic because the film is still new. It's called Star in the Sky, and will probably be playing soon at a festival near you, so I don't want to spoil it. But until then, here she is, Lara Shea. And a warning, there might be one or two little hints of profane language in this pod. Nothing too serious. Rhymes with hit and starts with an S. But if you're sensitive about that kind of thing around young kids or whatever, just a heads up. Beyond that, let's drop in with Lara Shea. I want to talk about movies, though, first. Your second movie, you're going to premiere it in your hometown soon?
Yeah, Revelstoke, BC, May 7th.
So I want to get to that movie later on, but how we met was with your first movie, 60 Seconds, about athlete Ty Turner, his journey to physical and emotional recovery after a super traumatic skydiving accident. That movie kind of blew up. I mean, it was technically your first movie or what?
Yeah, that was my debut. First film I completed kind of on my own, produced and directed.
Yeah, and we met at Vancouver International Mountain Film Festival. It kind of went all over the place, a bunch of accolades. How did it come about? You and Ty were friends already before his accident, or?
Yeah, we worked together at K3 Catski, which is like a mechanized backcountry skiing operation out of Revelstoke. And he and I think, worked together for like 5 years at least before his accident. So I knew him pretty well. And then, he was in the hospital, and it was like really traumatic, I think, for the whole community and obviously like our friend group, and really like well intertwined there. But he needed something that was outside of what was going on, I think, mentally for him. And this project became like such a great outlet when I kind of pitched it to him. And he was 2 feet in, like right out of the gate. He didn't even hesitate, didn't say like, I don't know. He was just like, let's do it. And it was kind of like game on. And yeah, he really just like let it all out, which I thought was really like admirable. And
yeah. And what was it? Was there ever a challenging? I mean, it's a very personal story. You know, it's laced with pain, with hardship. He was into it, but was the fact that you were friends, did you ever like hold off a little bit because you didn't want to maybe push him into a pace of pain, or did it make it easier that you already had that history?
That's a really good question. It was like, I think, a balancing act between the two. There's like this funny thing that I learned in that whole project with like ethics, you know, like when you're putting someone in a position, you know, where they're willing to be vulnerable with where they're at in life and they're open, but you're also placing them in the scenario again to like retell that story and kind of bring them back to the trauma. So it was kind of like this, touch and go thing where it took like 2 years to film, and there were a few interviews that happened over the course of that time period where we would like kind of dive in and see how he was feeling. And if he wasn't doing great, you know, we'd pull back and come back to it. And so we just had a lot of like time and patience with where he was at, and same with Kayleen, his partner.
Kayleen, his partner, she's a big part of that movie. Like she's a pillar of strength.
She's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
They're so cool. Yeah, no, that was also really important. And that's like a really common thing in stories of like severe trauma where partner goes to the hospital for, you know, like a big event like that. And then usually, you know, kind of like this maternal character comes into their lives, and, you know, they start a huge bond and relationship. And once I kind of like opened that story up and I really wanted to show that side, it was like really interesting, like telling that story and then having a lot of people come forward and tell their stories about like the similar circumstance of.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a human instinct thing to take care of each other. Like, I definitely know one guy that was about to break up with his girlfriend, then she broke her leg, and he had to stay on for another 9 months, right? He couldn't go because he wouldn't feel right about it.
Yeah, I think that is really common. Yeah. It's probably a good thing.
I hope so. Maybe humanity isn't all that bad. Obviously, in this case, you know, after the movie comes out, it's a big hit. Then Ty goes to the Paralympics, wins a gold medal in Paralympic snowboard cross, and you know doesn't seem to have really stopped. He's given her on all fronts.
Yeah, he's he's I think aiming to go back to the Olympics, so he's kind of in the preparations of that. He's doing all the like world champion tours around the world, and he's competing still. He's stoked. He's like, he's flying high. He's doing great. Literally flying high.
you festivaled the heck out of that movie. Is it available for people to watch now, or is it still behind the festival doors?
It's still, I've pulled it out of the circuit, but it's being it's kind of in the process of distribution.
Right.
We've had some, so we're still working on that, and we've had some offers, but we're just kind of, there's some things that are happening for Tyler that might change that, so we're just kind of waiting on those things.
It'd be sick if that movie was one that you could watch on the plane.
Well, funny enough, it actually, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but it was almost taken by Air Canada, but then as soon as it got up like super high, they were like, oh, like skydiving accident.
The skydiving accident movie might not be the one for the plane, but I think it would be awesome.
I thought so too.
So for you, for your first sort of major film, or you know, your directorial debut, how did the whole thing end up compared to what you expected? Like, obviously it was successful, but were you surprised?
Oh yeah. It was like absolute terror, like initially putting that thing out in the world. Because I think in sport documentary, you often see kind of like these really inspiring stories of, you know, just like feat or whatever they're kind of trying to overcome or achieve. And Tyler's story was pretty subtle in what he was actually achieving. It was like very realistic to like something you'd experience in real life. And he didn't have anything like overly like motivational to like say, but he was just like, I'm going to keep going and see what happens. And that, I mean, it was really great that he actually ended up going on to like win.
Yeah.
He made history in the Olympics, or Paralympics. But I just didn't know how that would be received because it seemed like a slightly different style for the outdoor industry. And when it was received as well as it was like a shock. No idea. So.
You've got deep roots in the outdoor industry. Like, you're in Revelstoke? Is that where you grew up, or?
No, I grew up in Hinton, Alberta.
Oh yeah. There's a pretty good crew. I know a few people that ended up in the mountains out of Hinton.
Oh,
yeah. What was it like as a kid then? You know, Alberta, you're on the Rockies. Is it was getting out into the mountains a big part of your childhood, or?
Yep. Yeah, it was. My parents moved from the east looking for jobs in the 80s, and there was no jobs, and they had the option between like Rimbey and Hinton, Alberta. And they chose Hinton because it was 15 minutes outside of the park boundary. And as a kid, I spent almost every weekend in the summers in the mountains. And my parents were it's absolutely mind blowing to think about what they were able to achieve with 3 girls,
right,
in such a wide range of age. But yeah,
and what jobs did they end up getting?
My mom was a lab technician. She's retired now for the hospital, and then my dad was a science teacher.
Right, and so this weekends in the wilderness kind of thing.
Yeah, we did skiing. A lot of canoeing. My parents love the water, obviously coming from Ontario. Cold water, so that was a change. But they windsurfed, we hiked. We just did like whatever we could. Camped. Yeah, it was just awesome. I had a great childhood.
And I mean, I know you are a painter, photographer, film director. Your sister writes, illustrates. Was it an artistic family growing up, or did you just kind of come into that on your own?
No, my mom comes, like, her mom was an artist. She's a painter. And my mom really facilitated, I think, this, like, I always kind of joke that our lives were like the book Little Women. We were kind of raised in this environment to like always be pushing like our character and developing that side of ourselves. And Melissa and I, my other sister, is less so into the arts, but she was always a part of it.
Is she a bit old? Is she older? Are you the youngest, or?
I'm the youngest. Melissa's the oldest, and then Marta's the middle.
Right.
And so it was chaos, but yeah, my mom was always kind of facilitating this, and it was her deep desire as well in the arts, to push that and pursue it and just kind of build that, and yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, we're always doing weird stuff.
When did you get into photography? Was that like? I don't think Hinton, Alberta, like, is there a photography class in the high school in a dark room? And
No.
Yeah, no, right?
No.
Same as most towns out west. When did you get into photography then?
I would say that started, initially it was film that I really first started getting into when I was a kid, because my parents bought a camcorder, and my dad was a basketball coach, and he bought it just to like record all like the games and stuff so we could learn as a team. And then I kind of like absconded it and started making films and forced all my family members and classmates to do that.
And what format was that? Was that mini DV, or was it even more old school?
Yeah, no, it was mini. It was like second gen, I guess.
Tricky to edit with those things.
And I edited right in camera.
Yeah, of course.
Great. Yeah.
So you started with film, and what were you making? Like narrative films, or was it documentary back then even?
Both. This is actually kind of like a funny thing to reflect on, but it was mainly kind of this like narrative style. I was really big into Western filmmaking and horror. And then and I'm like 12 at this age, like I'm pretty young. And then I saw the Blair Witch Project, and I was so like mind blown that this like idea that you could make a film that felt real. And it was like kind of, there's this ambiguity between like, is it real or what's happening? Is it scripted? And I love that. So then that's when I started to pursue this idea of like documentary style filmmaking, and did some weird projects. And,
are any of those old movies still kicking around? Like, do you?
Oh yeah, they are. I actually just had them converted like this year from like the mini tapes.
Yeah, perfect. Digital. Well, I'm expecting the private password protected Vimeo links then.
Yeah, Okay, I'll send some. They're great.
Okay, so eventually you stopped making B-grade horror movies, and then what happened? You got into photography after that, or was there a lull, or did you travel the world and go to Italy like all the young women are doing now, or?
I did do that the cliche pursuit in Europe. No, I actually pursued film for quite a while. I went into, like, I was big into acting as a kid, so I did lots of like stage plays, and then I did some like short filmmaking, narrative filmmaking when I was like 15, 16 as an actor. And then I stepped away from it. And I think it was because I was in basketball, and that really took over my life. I got a scholarship, went to university or college. And then I came back to, I mean, I always had photography. Like my parents were always taking photos. And I would say I probably started in my, like, really, like, my own style, I think probably developed when I was like in grade 12, and then I took it in my first year university.
And where did you go to school? Was it a mountain area, or were you out in a big city?
It was the prairies. I went up to Grand Prairie Regional College. I got offered a full ride there, so I was just like, well, let's see how the prairies are. And I hated it, so I was so sad. I remember, it was just the wind. The wind was awful. So I transferred to Emily Carr.
Nice.
The following year. Yeah.
And somehow ended up in Revelstoke. I mean, when did you start becoming a ski guide?
Well, I went to Emily Carr, and then I kind of burnt out and just like not knowing really what I was pursuing. I really loved art school and I loved Emily Carr, but I just feel like there was something missing, and it was the mountains. So I ended up taking a year off from university and pursuing an outdoor education program in Fernie, BC, and did that for a year, and that changed the course of my life. I was like, oh, this is like really what I could see myself doing. Like, as an artist, I was really struggling to see myself professionally. And I was studying painting. So I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do, long term. And I really love film, but I kind of had this like bad experience in film that pushed me away. And eventually I came back to it. But so I did this program. I went back to Emily Carr. And then I realized once I went back to art school, I was like, no, this is what I want to do. So I moved back out to the mountains and dove right into all the courses and training and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's been 10 years ago.
Nice. Yeah. And that bad experience in film was before you went to school, or was that part of the university film world? Or
no, it was high school. I went into this like all intensive. It was an incredible camp in Red Deer of all places. But I was so bitter. I entered into this thing expecting to do behind the camera work, and I knew that I had acting experience, and I was forced in front of the camera, not really out of my will, but I was like kind of begrudgingly did it. And, I still had fun, but the course was 98% male, and they had the scripts made for female roles, like main lead roles. And so all the women that were basically got kind of put in front of the camera.
Right. And
I went into that thinking that I was going to do editing or directing or something like that behind the camera. But anyways, so I kind of like resisted against that because it's kind of like that's a summation of the experience, but it was kind of like this, challenging dynamic.
Yeah. So and I mean, in those days, the film industry, especially the higher up you got, it was notoriously slow or almost immobile when it came to accommodating or rewarding or giving an opportunity to anybody that's not a white dude. It feels like that's getting better lately, particularly in the outdoor documentary realm. But coming from that terrible experience into what's happening to you now, what's that journey been like?
Oh, it's been a bumpy road, like leading up to this point, but I had a lot of encouragement, like from like support, I think, from close family members. And that was like, I don't think I would have, because it was such a mental block that I had going in. I was really like jaded. And I just, desperately wanted to pursue it. It's like, I don't know if you've ever had that feeling. It's like I knew in my body that I was like, this is what I was supposed to be doing, but I just had, this block. And then once I kind of broke through that, it's been like, I feel like I'm at home. Like my brain operates this way, and I think all the facets of filmmaking is exactly like how, I think. And it just feels like I'm where I'm supposed to be now.
I think of something like the Well-Traveled Collective or the stuff with Darcy Turin Hennessy. Like you're in sort of that mix now. And every time I go to any outdoor festival, I'm seeing films come out of that. I don't want to call it a program, but that group. But I mean, that's only 2 or 3 years old, right? Like that didn't exist even 10 years ago.
Yeah, no, I think that, like you said, I think that there has been a shift in the last, I don't know, maybe, few years, it feels like.
Yeah.
And just giving more opportunity, I think, for women in a space, just to like bring more content.
And are you seeing that from the other end where young girls are coming up to you at the premiere?
No, but it's still mostly like lots of like males still, I think, in the circulation, but which is totally fine. No, it doesn't bother me. I'm just used to being, I think, in that environment. But
right.
What I do recognize is the audience members are coming to me, like specifically with this latest film, Star in the Sky. Lots of women are coming and, expressing gratitude for making this film as showing like a mother and like the burden that she has and the nuance of that. So I'm like, it feels really good because Tyler's film was still very much, male lead. But it had a feminine touch to it. So it's different. But anyways, I think it's nice to be making things with women on the screen too.
We should talk about A Star in the Sky. Can you give the listeners, just the short synopsis, what it's about?
Yeah, so Star in the Sky is basically like a shared metaphor for children who have undergone adversity. And in this particular story, Emily, who is the mother, utilized this idea that after Scott died, who was the father and the husband, she told the kids that he became a star in the sky. And that was a way for them to connect to him in kind of, because I think death is a really abstract thing for a kid, a very young kid. The kids were very little. And so it was kind of like this really great way that they could connect and talk to him and share how they felt or where they were at with him and even see him. I think it was like a tangible way that they could, not touch, but like see or feel his presence.
Another film, dealing with, deeply human things, tragedy, resilience, vulnerability, loss, death. The turnaround seems pretty quick. I think your last film came out in 2021 and this one came out in 2022. Was this project already in the works or did it come together really quickly?
It came together pretty quickly. I mean, what I had, I worked with Emily actually on a very small project, like maybe 4 years ago. I interviewed her for something and I kind of realized then that was like, there's something really, really powerful here. And I wanted to pursue that. And I approached her a couple of years later. So I had started building that relationship up and ended up it kind of got fast tracked because I ended up getting the grant from TELUS. And I was kind of hoping that it would be bit of a bigger project, but I just was like, I just kind of went all in with what I had and right. Thought that I could do it for what I had at the time, just challenging.
And how's the pressure when your first film's a hit? Now someone's giving you money to produce this second film on a much tighter timeline. Were there times where you're like, I'm way over my head here, or how did it feel?
Of course, yeah. I feel like filmmaking has the tendency to make you feel that way. It's really humbling. And I kind of like, it actually was, I felt pretty strong up until the editing. I was like, I really love prep. I will prep the crap out of everything. And then on set, I felt really, really confident with my vision and how I was moving forward with it and the team. And then when I got into the editing room, I was like, what the heck? Yeah, this was a monumental undertaking. Like the responsibility that I had felt for the 2 years, I kind of like, I felt, but I kind of like pushed that feeling aside. And then as soon as I got in, it was just like, oh, the weight was huge.
These are people's lives, right? And this is going to last forever. And also it's going to go around the world. If it did what your last film did, it's going to go all over the place.
Exactly.
So how much footage did you have? I mean, I think the film's about 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, initially this is the interesting thing is initially I'd planned for it to be a lot shorter. And then as I trying to explain, I really love explaining like nuance and the subtleties and stuff. But yes, as soon as I started editing, I was like, I felt it was really important to kind of include larger chunks. And it was supposed to be about 12 to 15 minutes, and then I got stretched to 28. But we only did, I think collectively there was like 7 or 8 days of filming, and they weren't full days. That we weren't filming for like 10 days.
Kids. 10 You're working with kids, right? So.
Oh, Feet. That was a whole nother ball of wax. It was working with kids, which I loved, but
new challenges.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure the famous Hollywood saying is never work with kids and pets, right?
Yeah. I was ambitious there. Felt ambitious. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you pulled it off. The film has screened some places, like the Revelstoke premiere is coming up, but it's already been at Vancouver Mountain Film Festival, right? And
yeah. I'm gonna see how it. Yeah, I'm putting it in the circuit, the film festival circuit, and see how it does. And then it goes to broadcast on Telus Optic TV in June.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically 2 for 2. I have a question though. You have an IMDb page, and there's a movie on there called Parker Scooter.
Yeah.
What is that? There's not a lot of information out there about Parker Scooter.
No, Parker Scooter. So this is my close friend and collaborator, Jason Mannings, wrote a feature film, and he will be directing it, and I will be assistant directing this. And we're hoping to actually we're pushing to shoot in the fall. But if that doesn't happen, it'll be next spring.
Right. So that's why I couldn't find anything, because it hasn't happened yet.
No, it's definitely in pre-production.
Right. Yeah. I thought it might have been a great nugget, some horror film from the past.
No.
I mean, the other, you've worked, let's talk about, as you were finding your feet in the film world, you've worked with the Sweetgrass Productions team a bit. Though that crew seems like they have their system pretty dialed. How was that working with them? You've done it a few times.
Oh yeah, they're the best. I can't remember even when I first started working for them. It's been a while.
Was it on that Rave movie, the Shambhala movie, or was it before all that?
Yeah. No, yeah, it was the first, which was in 2018, maybe the first year I worked with them. I've done like a couple projects with them, but I knew about Nick because he lives in the executive producer and director of Sweetgrass. He lives in Nelson, and I know a lot of people that knew him, so I kind of reached out and I was prodding him to if I could shadow or just come on set VPA or whatever. And I hadn't done anything at that point in film. And they said yes. They took a chance and said yes and brought me on. And then I've worked with them basically ever since on small large projects, small.
And so you got to go to Shambhala and rave it out for the weekend, or?
Yeah, that was my first experience at Shambhala. Right. That was insane. Yeah. And then I've worked with them a couple times there, and I'm actually going back this year. I'm editing for that project.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but they're incredible, and it was really nice to see. It was like a nice foot in the door because I was so far removed from film, and I really wanted to see a larger kind of scale set with lots of complexity for my own, because I was in production or in pre-production with 60 seconds when I stepped in there. So I was really kind of looking at it from a way of how do I, go about everything, how do I organize my set, or and in the midst of like intense chaos.
Yeah, I know. So the rave is as chaotic of a set as it can get, really.
Yeah, it was like absolutely mind blowing. And then the next year actually was a little bit more helpful because I stepped into like a producer role for that project because we were developing a film and then all the advertising on set. And so it was a huge, it was much bigger thing, very complicated. And yeah, I felt a little bit more confident going into my own production, knowing that I had the skills to organize some chaos at least.
So now you're like a master raver.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I saw you made a heli ski video with an electro swing soundtrack though. How much of a role does music play when you're conceiving a film, as opposed or like, do you have a song in your head when you're here's the climax of my film and I've already got the music, or do you score it after? Or
I'm usually scoring it after, but if there is like, so in 60 Seconds, I reached out to a band called Revelstoke in the UK. I love their music. And I felt like with the tone and like vibe of that film, I kind of had them in mind to have some musical, like I would have loved if they could have obviously done the entire thing, but that was pricey. So I ended up kind of like utilizing a few songs from another guy who's a local musician that paired really well into that film. And that was kind of like always there. Like even when I was in production, starring this guy was a lot more challenging because I was really constrained to the limits of broadcasting, and the cost of that. So I kind of had to pick a little bit more like generic music, which was really hard for me to do that. Like I find that really like below your like creative system.
It's the wrong music can really blow your whole emotion of your scene, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think that was probably one of the greatest challenges with starring this guy, was like this idea that I was constrained to, to that. And it was so hard to find pieces that worked for that film. That was probably like, I'd say one of the biggest challenges. But.
What about from behind the camera? Obviously, with your photography experience, you've got an eye for images. Do you prefer to shoot your own, or do you like having somebody shoot for you, or?
It depends on the project. If it's a small, low stakes project, then I like to shoot. And if it's, or even like the heli skiing work that I did, I end up shooting from a helicopter a lot, which is kind of bizarre. Very niche. In the grand scheme of like shooting. Anyways, so I find I really like doing that work when I'm shooting from the helicopter, because that's like max chaos, and I feel really like my brain just kind of slows down, I think, in those moments. But for films, narrative filmmaking, I feel like it's really important to pass that off, because I lose sight of, I think, the story if I'm behind the camera, and they're two very different roles. Yeah. And I can't separate them. So you always compromise something.
When you talk about slowing down your brain, how does it usually run? Does it run in the red? Or, I mean, you seem pretty relaxed when I've ever met you, but I know sometimes there's, like, how long does it take you to fall asleep at night? Or are you running through scenarios?
It depends. Usually I'm a pretty good sleeper. Like I think that I run in the red creatively all the time. Right. Like if I've got a project, it consumes me entirely. It's exhausting. But otherwise, I would say, chaos makes me feel calm, and I don't know why, but
I've always kind of felt the same, because you have to think on your feet, right? And and if you get away with it a few times, I feel like then I start to trust my judgment, right? I'm like, hey, listen, I can think on my feet and survive, and actually it's fun because I'm not worried about what's going to happen because I don't have time.
Totally, yeah. I think that's totally fair. It's just like, and you're more present too. It's like when a lot of things are being thrown at you, you're forced to be present in making the decision for it, which is a lot like being a director. Actually, I find that is a good translation. But yeah, no, I think that's what's going on. I mean, like I think I have ADD or something, ADHD.
It seems like everybody does now. On the other end of the spectrum, then we need to talk about fly fishing.
Right, of course.
Because that's, I mean, there's a fly fishing video of you and your partner Ken. You know,
that's right.
It feels like fly fishing has inserted itself into your life in a huge way. Yeah,
it has. I started fly fishing years ago in the Bow Valley, and that was
right.
Oh my God, it was like the hardest fishing to today I've still ever done. Really challenging, like on the upper bow, like not like lower bow by Calgary, like upper bow. Really cold water, like the fisheries are like pretty minimal up there. So it was, I never caught anything in my first like 5 years of fishing. And that was the worst.
But you stuck with it.
I don't know why. It was like pure torture.
Is it something to do with the way your brain works when you're on the water? You know, there's a lot going on, but you're also calm.
Well, that's such a fun, like an interesting illusion of fly fishing. Everybody's like, oh, it looks so serene, but it's like so complicated,
so focused all the time on 100 things.
Yeah, like nothing else is going on around you but like your line in the water. Yeah, I think it does. I think it has something to do with it. Like it was so hard at the beginning, and like again, I really like the complexity of trying to like figure that all out. And it was just so challenging. And maybe the competitive, like subtle competitive nature in me was like, oh, I'm gonna see this swim and catch a damn fish. And then it was great because when I moved to Revelstoke, the fisheries are still a little bit difficult, but easier. And I had skills by this time, so I could actually do, like we were sight casting and stuff for rainbows. So it was like, I was actually catching things and doing it in a manner that was a little bit more like required some skill. So it was like, okay, like this is fun, like, you know, and then we went steelheading and it was all over.
Yeah. Like, So is steelheading the addiction everyone says it is for you? Are you thinking about steelhead fishing a lot?
Yeah, well, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I know the answer to that one. One thing I liked about I went on your website, larashea.com. We're gonna spell it out at the end of the pod, but on the about page, there's two photos of you, a picture of a painting you did, and this video about you going steelheading with Ken. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I've never seen that done where there's no words on the about page, a couple captions, but talk to me about that video. I mean, Sweetgrass produced a great film. Obviously you hold it close to your heart to use it as one of the things that you think explains who you are to the world.
Yeah, it shows. I think that, I mean, Nick did the film. We worked with Nick quite a bit, both Ken and I. And Nick has just become like such a good friend of ours. And this is like the story about how that film came to be was kind of like devastating at the time, but now it's funny in hindsight. Ken and I have a really hard time because we always have a lot of projects going on, a lot of chaos in our lives. It's really hard to find time to do anything just together. And we had planned to celebrate our anniversary, and Ken got a call one day, and it was from Nick, and it was during the pandemic. So this was when the borders were closed and, the Americans couldn't get across. And of course, as you know, all the lodges and fisheries, the steelhead lotteries are basically taken by the Americans every year, or the majority of them seem to be. And they couldn't get across the borders. So a lot of those fisheries were open and not being used, and nobody could fly into the lodges. And so Nick kind of pitched us like, hey, what do you think about rafting down the Dean River? And it was not pitched to me, but it was pitched to Ken. And
he's a fairly serious fisherman. So
obsessed. Beyond.
You can't say no to that trip, right?
No, and it was during the weekend of our anniversary, which I was adamant, we haven't spent time together in so long, like we really need this weekend. And I heard the call, like I could hear Nick's voice, and Ken said yes without even hesitating. And I was like, what? Like, and I didn't really understand what the trip was at the time, but I was just so pissed off. And then,
what did you hope? What did you hope that weekend was going to be?
I mean, my expectations like went out the window when we were like leaving. Like it was kind of just like, this is not going to be a romantic thing, but it became the joke of the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Or the whole week, I guess I should say. And yeah, we went up there with a friend of ours who was a raft guide because none of us knew really how to do that. And she was able to navigate the river, and we had Nick, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to make a film." Now it's like,
so you had a third and a fourth wheel for your anniversary weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
And a camera.
A camera. Yeah, I was like, oh.
But you caught a steelhead.
I caught a lot of them. Yeah, and it was the best.
The greatest anniversary gift ever.
It was, and now we joke that we're going to do one every year with these guys, our third and fourth wheel. Yeah, nice. Maybe not a film, but yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Also on that About page, there's a painting. So, I know you talked about going to Emily Carr and studying painting. Is it still a part of your life, or, with a family, has that sort of been put on the back shelf a bit?
A little bit. I think it's been hard. We've moved a lot in the last 5 years with the, everybody knows the rental market. It's just been ridiculous. And it's been really hard to find space to do that. And it doesn't end up really being like this. Oh, sorry.
No problem. I hear you about that space as an artist.
Sorry, the phone, I don't know if you could hear that in the recording. But
yeah, we can hear it. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, great.
It doesn't matter. You know what I call that? The warmth of human error, right? That makes us, this way they know it's not a pod made by the AI. Because real human stuff happens.
Exactly, yeah. I've space for painting. Anyways, it's been really hard to find any sort of space to do it, but I do a couple pieces here and there.
Right. And you give them away, you sell them, you keep them?
Yeah, give them away, sell them, keep them, depending on where. I've been commissioned to do in the past a few, and that's been really great because that forces me to do something and find time and space.
Yeah.
But I mostly just end up having them in our house, and I paint these weird feminine creatures.
I feel like we can lead from that into the discussion of, commerce versus art and the struggle of, a young filmmaker, a young artist, a young photographer, even trying to keep the bills paid, but still be able to dedicate your energy to this thing that you love. What was that a difficult journey for you? Was it the photography help pay the bills and that, off balance the other stuff? Or obviously if you're guiding, that's a paid gig as well, but.
Yeah. I mean, guiding, I think in general, art and guiding don't scream money. Like it's not necessarily something you choose to do to make money. But photography, I was doing wedding photography for almost 10 years, and it was such a great way to earn a really decent living and work from home because I had a daughter.
Yeah.
And after about my fourth or fifth year, I felt so burnt out because you're not you're always trying to kind of reinvent that space, but it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it has, very specific traditions that you follow, and everybody has them. So it's hard to reinvent that a little bit. You're just there, and it feels like it's just, you're there. It's like a desk job. It's like a glorified desk job, essentially. But it paid the bills.
Did you find yourself getting bitter of always having to live and relive other people's happiness?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, I always thought that it would be different before I got into it.
Yeah. People come in with kind of canned expectations, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. Monumental expectations of how perfect that day is supposed to be. And they are pouring so much time and energy and money into it. And, rightfully so. There is that stress. But it's still, I think, I wish I wish that I like had a little bit more skill when I was younger to like facilitate, some like a little bit of like pre-therapy going into that and like setting those expectations just to like make it more comfortable for everybody. But yeah, it's a really difficult profession. I got kind of destroyed by it. It's a ton of work, and if you're not balancing it with other art, it's hard.
Did you ever make a wedding video?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I did once, right?
Did you?
We went for it. We sent a camera with the groom all day and a camera with the bride all day. And then and met up for 2 angles at the ceremony, and they were friends, so we had that inner sanctum of all the getting ready and everything. And then this is shot on mini DV, so a pain in the ass to edit.
Oh my god.
And by the time we finished the edit, and we took, it was a gift to them, so we kind of took our time. In fact, the marriage only lasted like not long after the video was done. and I lost it. I was like, never again. Ridiculous. Love is dead. It's false. And that was it. That was the end of the wedding career. That we had big plans, but because it is money, right? If you sell it, you can make money.
Yeah, totally.
But it was painful. And then to realize that it was all for nothing.
There should be a documentary about like a wedding photographer or like a videographer working behind the scenes. Like, it's what you see too. I think that, like, as you just said, it's like you had 2 close friends, and sometimes that's clouded by your ability to like understand like the health of a relationship when they're both your friends. But you're like, sometimes you can feel this like
you can tell
between the couple. Yeah, you can like kind of tell.
I hope you guys are just having a bad day, because this doesn't look very promising.
No, it's like when stress is creating this sort of like dynamic, you're like, I'm always like worried that I hope this is going to be okay. But
nice. Well, I mean,
most of them have worked out.
What about narrative film? Have you got any plans to do? You said you have this project coming up with your friend. Do you write your own scripts though, or is that something you've ever done?
I have been. I've just started to, in the last like year, kind of pick away at a couple scripts and writing very small narrative. I'm actually hugely inspired by like Canadian cinema right now. I think that there's some like really great stuff coming out, and a lot of peers too that are making them. So I feel really like inspired to write. I think all the first like 100 scripts you write are going to be crap, but
right.
I've been writing a little bit, and it's been really great trying to step away from the dark documentary filmmaking. Yeah,
I was going to say that could take a toll as well. Revelstoke, I mean, thankfully has a movie theater. You have that culture there. Do you get out a lot, or is it mostly just taking the kids to the movies, or?
Mostly taking the kids to the movies. I find in small theaters, it's hard for independent theaters to stay afloat if they're not like programming like Marvel or Disney. So I find that it's like those films are entertaining, but it's not necessarily like my choice of genre or, my choice of style. So I find that I'm usually just watching films like, with our family on a
at
small
home
screen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any standouts, recent films that you've loved, or even, historically, favorite films that you always come back to?
Oh, so many.
Yeah. Wait, like is Blue Crush one of them?
Yeah, oh my God, how do you know?
I feel like every artist knows Blue Crush is a masterpiece. If you just want to lay on the couch, maybe you're hungover a little bit, or you're not, or sick, you can put on Blue Crush. You're going to feel better. You can sleep. You can wake up. It's a perfect movie.
It's the perfect movie, a little like Pharrell soundtrack. I feel like that was like the epitome of my teenage years, though.
Right.
Ace of Base remixed. Wow. I think that I really liked old cinema. I was raised in a house where, classic kind of cinema was praised a lot. And my dad really loved Westerns.
Yeah. I know you mentioned the Westerns earlier on. So what kind, like the John Wayne stuff, or the 70s peck and paw violent Westerns, or the Clint Eastwood stuff, or? all
I
of the
mean,
above.
Clint Eastwood for sure. That was a big part of our upbringing. He always had like the, VHS tapes. But there was such a wide range. Like in my heart of hearts, I would probably make a Western film. Like that sounds crazy, but I think that I would love. I mean, I grew up in Alberta too, so
Right.
I always feel like really attached to that landscape.
Yeah.
But like a soft one,
A soft one.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like super violent, but maybe that could be fun too.
We can geek out on Westerns after we get off the pod. I don't think the world needs to hear about it, but I have plenty to say. What about horror movies? You mentioned horror movies, though. Was that a big part of, the classic teenage experience, staying up late watching horror movies with your friends? What were your faves?
Oh man, I mean, I really loved. I'm trying to think about like one of the first films that I saw. I think that I saw Psycho, which was like, I mean, that's kind of thriller, psychological thriller instead of a horror film, but that really changed my life.
How old do you think you were?
Oh, way too young.
Yeah.
Like way too young. I must have been like 9, 10. And then I saw those classics, like The Ring. That one really freaked me out. Scream. Oh, we didn't love Scream.
I feel like the horror movie, as you said, you made them when you were young. I made them when I was young. It's such a safe space to become a filmmaker in, because you don't need much, and it doesn't matter if it sucks, because so many of them, you're used to watching bad horror movies, right? So I think so many filmmakers owe a debt to horror on their trajectory.
I would hope so. And the most interesting thing is now I think that they're still one of like the top selling genres. Like,
for sure.
It's still a big thing. And I think that's kind of great. And really nobody really talks about it, or at least it seems like it.
I think it's just always been such a thing. I mean, fear, right? The fear is a universal human emotion. Love is too, but it's more complex. There's a lot more, a grizzly bear or a shark attacking you is going to scare everyone. Whereas love, everyone has their own kind of specificities that they like, right?
That's a really good point. Yeah, it's like primal. It's like a black and white thing.
And then comedy's tough. Comedy's having a hard run right now.
Shit, comedy is so hard to write and to direct, and comedy. I kind of steer clear from it because I don't think that I'm very funny at all. So it's just like I'll just leave that for someone else because it's just too hard.
You might be funnier than you think. So let's go back to your youth. Then you're living in Alberta. You're watching movies. You're doing your thing. What was your first job?
I was I did odd jobs all the time when I was really, really young. I worked at like concessions at dances with my dad.
Right.
And then my first like job where I was getting a paycheck from someone else other than maybe my dad or something, was working at a place called LNW. It's a Greek restaurant owned by a lovely family from Hinton. And I was like a server. Yeah. So it was like one of those, anyway, basically like a server essentially.
Do you still have nightmares about serving people food? Did you ever?
Yeah, I don't know if it was where I was supposed to be. I feel like I wanted to like it because that was like kind of the cool thing to do.
Yeah, and decent money, right? You're making tips, right?
Yeah, making decent money. But I hated it, and I was I had really like a lot of inner turmoil because of that. I don't know why.
No, but it's because that's called post-traumatic stress, and that's because serving people food is a traumatic experience because people aren't very kind to the servants, right? No. And so you're a young person, and you're not. Lots of people are very kind, but it only takes one per night to ruin your night, right? And so
it's true.
That happened a lot.
Did you serve?
I served in Whistler, right? So I served the richest people in the world, right? And they're even less kind, some of them, to the servants than your regular people in your small hometown. Having said that, it was amazing. I paid my way through school. I met people that I love to this day. I served for 12 years, though. And
wow.
I still have waiter mares, we call them, right? Where you're living hell in your dreams. And I haven't served a dish in almost 20 years, and I still have one or two a year of these super traumatic waiter mares.
No way.
Yeah, and it's a pretty common thing among like career servers. So yeah,
so maybe that was the difference. Yeah.
You got out early enough, hopefully.
I got out of, sports it was really hard to maintain a job when I was in really like high end, like competitive sport. Like,
yeah,
I'd spent all summers doing that. So I kind of.
And it was just basketball, or was it a bunch of sports?
It was mainly basketball, especially towards like from grade 8 to 12. I was really involved with basketball. I spent lots of summers traveling for it. And then I played soccer. We did pretty well in soccer there too. And I was such an outcast those feet. Like I sound really jockey. Like that sounds really like jockey and cool. But even amongst my teammates, because I had this really artistic side that I was always wanting to explore, I never felt like I fit in. Like I don't know, maybe everybody has that sense of teenage
maybe, but yeah. So you were too jockey for the art kids and too arty for the jock kids.
Yeah, I was like kind of in this weird alternative world. And filmmaking, like as a kid, was such an incredible outlet because I got to be exactly like you said. It's like you're making horror. You can do anything you want and create it, and it could be crappy, but it was still so liberating to do. And yeah, the filmmaking is still that thing for me. It's like a very liberating thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the good news is you're fantastic at it, so you're probably going to be able to get to do it a lot more.
I hope so.
What else are you into then? Do you have other things that you do to sort of like, that's not related to anything professional that you just do just for fun?
For fun? I like not very like cool things. Like I like running.
Well, I mean, that's being healthy is fun. Like trail running. I assume trail running, not running around the track.
No, yeah, trail running. I really like my pets. So like that's really nice.
What do you got? Couple cats, couple dogs?
I got a couple. Yeah, there's one actually right here. I wish you could like see.
Yeah, it's all we blurred our background, so.
I know. It's there. What do I like doing? I mean, I used to climb quite a bit, but I don't do that anymore. And I've been thinking about doing that again. But recently I've taken up writing.
Right.
And that's been a little bit more time than I thought I would spend on it. And I've been really enjoying it. So that's admirable because, I've been writing for a long time, and when you're enjoying it, that's the best. If you're laughing to yourself or having a good time. Yeah. Well, do you get to write some scripts or like something creative that's like not for work? Yeah, no, for sure. I have my side project, my pie website, but definitely sometimes a script will just come out, right? My problem is I'm still tied. Everything usually it has some kind of crazy taboo, so it's scripts. I've been writing fake infomercials, and it'll be hard to get people to film them, let alone put them somewhere. But we'll talk about that after. What's next for you? I'm developing a feature documentary right now, which has been probably like 6 months in the making already, and it's been a really challenging project because again, it's subject matter that is just hard. I think it's hard for, as humans, as people, just to look at that part of ourselves. And it deals with grief a lot in the mountains. So I'm working on that, and hopefully that comes to fruition because we've been working on it for a long time. I talk about this a lot with people, grief in the mountains. Obviously, the mountains, they give us a lot. They take a lot away as well. I always feel like the mountain community, at least the ones that I know, deals with loss and grief in their own unique way. I feel like it feels better than a funeral in a mountain town feels a lot different than a funeral in Toronto or a big city. Yeah. Do you think it's just because we're exposed to that loss the whole time we're around and we grow accustomed to it or we understand it better or... I think that's a really great question. That's something that like we're wanting to explore a little bit more. But I think that my philosophy on this is maybe not, the right one, but I think that what I understand, or what I've come to understand, is that as people who recreate in the mountains, we're exposing ourselves to risk, and we're kind of aware of those risks and the consequences. And that doesn't make death any easier, or, any more accepting that like you can do it. But I think that because we are thinking about it in a way that would be different than somebody who doesn't do that, who maybe is just like, their risk would be like walking around on the street. And they don't necessarily have that in their conscious. Maybe it's in their subconscious, but it's just like this, I think, separation from death in general. Like, and like, it's still really hard to explain that. But like, I think that when you are in the mountains, you know that if you make the wrong decision, it can cost you or somebody else their lives or limb or something. There's going to be a consequence to it. So you're always trying to make the right decision, and you're being put in that position all the time. And I think that that's probably the difference when we're celebrating someone's life after they've died in the mountains, that we are not prepared, but I think that we're able to understand that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's crazy because I've had both experiences now, right? Where usually in the mountains, it's a sudden loss, right? For those of us left, it's a sudden thing. And that stings, and that sucks every time. And then I've also had a friend, get sick and die, and that sucks too. But to be able to say to somebody, hey, we had a good run. Thank you. I love you. We're gonna take care of things, is a gift that we rarely get in the mountains. And I think there's a lot of value to that too, because it makes it a lot easier when you've had some point of closure, I think, for people.
I think so. And I think that like that is so hard to like grasp to. Like, death is like one of the worst things that I think that we can experience in our lifetime, like loss, just dealing with loss. And I know that I think that when we lose somebody like in the mountains, from the mountains, then it's different, because it's like, I don't know, there's like a different, it's like a more of a, you can celebrate, I think, like a part of their lives that they chose to be a part of too. Like, that's maybe the difference. Like,
Well, I feel like we're going to solve all the answers to all the questions in this film, so we won't give too much away right now. We're coming up on an hour here, so I'll a couple stupid questions for the end. But what's your weakness? Like, if I'm a supervillain and I need to trick you and get you into a trap, what do I use as your kryptonite?
Oh my God, shiny pennies.
Like a whole room of shiny pennies.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. I think that, baby cats. I feel like I have so many weaknesses. Like, I would say so many.
Do you think that our strengths are also our weaknesses? Where like your ability to hyper focus on something that would be able to create these great pieces of art also has detrimental things in the other parts of your life?
I would say so. That's something that I've like just coming to terms with in this part of my life, where I always was extremely self-conscious of my ability to focus, and even just like learning to read as a kid was a really, really big challenge that I had to overcome later in life. And it was because of that same thing. Like, I couldn't remember what I read on a page, and my reading comprehension was all over the place. But I think that now I've learned other ways to cope with that and to get around that. And I kind of wish that I had known that sooner, but like that that ability to like hyper focus and just not worry so much about that, because it cost me so much time and energy, like just, anxiety, worrying about that. But now I do believe it helps me a lot in especially my line of work in ski guiding and in filmmaking.
Who do you think could win in a fight, a grilled cheese sandwich versus a taco?
There's more. Taco for sure. There's way more crap to throw in there.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. LaraShea.com, LaraShea.com. Any last words to the kids out there that might be thinking about, following their dreams?
Oh, do it, gang. It's out there waiting, and it's so worth it.
And bring a taco. Lara, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Pete.
Okay, well, that was awesome, but there's more. After we stopped recording, Lara actually remembered she wanted to talk about her first ever film. So we fired the mics back up, and we've got a little bonus cut here. Lara Shea talks about her first documentary. Thanks for your time.
No, okay. Hang on. Sorry, Feet. My first documentary film was when I got my principal fired.
Oh, yeah. This is what I want to hear. This is why we're back here. The scandal. Yeah. Okay, tell me about this scandal.
Okay, so the first short documentary that I made, so I was saying before this, like, I really was taken with this idea of like the Blair Witch Project and how you can kind of create this thing where you're like, is this reality or is this fiction? And I really started to explore that, after I was into my Western films.
Yeah.
So going from scripted to unscripted. Anyway, so I started actually just putting the camera on people because I was really interested in just like observing and seeing how people kind of interacted with each other. And I was a really shy kid when I was, up until I was like a teenager, like very, very shy. And this was kind of a way for me to like understand people. I think that was like if I reflect back on that, I think that's what I was really doing. But I would take this camera everywhere with me, and I took it into my grade, I think it was grade 7 class. And obviously at the time, videotaping anybody in class was illegal. But I was just feeling like and before I would premise this is, so we had a principal of our school that was just brought in. We had this wonderful principal that retired, and then I'd been going to the school for, up until like play school to grade 7. And then for the last year, we got this new principal, and he was just a piece of work. Everybody hated him. He was so mean. He had no respect for children. He didn't really seem to like children. And when he was teaching, because they were really short-staffed and I think underfunded at the time, the principal had to teach a course. And I think it was science or maybe social. Anyways, he just was an awful person. Anyway, so I tried to explain this to my parents and they didn't believe me. And so I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Take my camera into my classroom and I'm going to show them. And so I took the camera in knowing that I was kind of breaking the rules, but I didn't realize that it was going to be like a huge consequence or anything. I just kind of took it in and videotaped like my surroundings. And it was a running shot for, I think, maybe 7 minutes. Like it was all the camera had. It was just like, I just wasted it all. And it was literally just like you were plopped inside the classroom in the middle of a lesson. And
did you like put a jacket over it or something, or like put some tape over the red light, or?
No. Oh, I put my finger over the red light, but I didn't really try to hide it because he was teaching in the front of the class and nobody was paying attention to him. So in the shot, I'm kind of panning back and forth and there's one person, one girl that's paying attention and she's right at the front. And everybody else is like throwing stuff and the kids are yelling at each other. And like, it's just like kids are reading. There's like kids walking off in the back. And then you like pan up to him and behind him on the chalkboard, it says F-U-C-K Mitchell, like, which is one of the kids in the class. And then it's got a pineapple, like a penis. And it's huge on the blackboard behind him. And then basically like this girl that's sitting in the front calls him out in this shot. And she's like, that's not in the lesson plan. And she was like the only one that read the textbook. And she's like, that's not in the lesson. That's not what it says in the textbook. And then he sends her to the office in the shot. She's like, get out of the classroom. And then the shot ends. And then I was like so proud of this. I was just like, oh my God, like I'm so, I called it the project, and I paid for my parents to come downstairs and watch. And I was like, I'm going to prove them, wrong here. And, I turned the tape on, and my parents' jaw they hit the floor, and they were just dumbfounded. My dad was a teacher at the time, and he was like, they had no words, and I was so proud. And they took the tape because they knew that something was going to happen, because my dad, he might have been on the board at the time for the school, but he could have maybe risked losing his job if they used this against him, the principal. So anyways, there's this like tricky little thing here, but the tape disappeared for a couple days. And then a couple days later, the principal was fired.
Wow. So you're like, what was that show back in the day? Those sort of sensationalist reporting shows. You were like a whistleblower, and one of those Fox News, like, breaking news, Inside Edition kind of thing.
Lara Shea. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I felt so like just empowered by it, though.
That was 12. Like seventh grade, 12 years old.
Yeah.
How did you follow that act? What was your next, great hidden camera documentary? Did you get anything in high school?
No, I went to the stage though. I started to pursue acting at that time.
Right.
Did a lot. I was doing lead roles.
One career ruined was enough.
I was like, I can't really top that. Move on. I know. It was kind of my claim to fame. But the crazy part about that story is that my parents never told me that actually led to his like getting sent away somewhere. Dismissal. Formally. I learned years later, I think it might even been like a full decade later, that that's actually what happened. I had to like be out of school, and my dad was retired, and then I was told that was
the truth comes out.
Yeah. I was like, wow. And then I'm like, I got to get back into film.
Yeah. I got to stick it to the man some more. Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Little shit disturber.
I know. I couldn't help it.
I guess the intent was always there. The talent was always there. So now we'll see what happens next. I don't
know. Yeah. Thanks.
You might save the whole world. Yeah. Just keep your finger over the blinking light, and anything's possible.
Yeah. See, maybe it's not talent. It's maybe just being bold.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fortune favors the bold.
That's right. Okay,
yeah. Well,
I should have said it.
Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. How about that? So yes, Lara Shea, her latest film, Star in the Sky, is actually having its hometown premiere in Revelstoke this weekend, the evening of May 7th. So check that out if you're in the area. Otherwise, watch for her films when they come to your town, or on the plane maybe, or keep tabs on her at larashea.com. Thanks for listening, Mountain Lifers. The regional summer mag issues will start dropping soon. And before we go, I want to send a special shout out to the team at Mountain Life Rockies, who have been nominated in the Best Special Interest category at the National Magazine Awards. So congratulations to Christy and Aaron and Amelie and the team over there in Canmore. That mag hasn't been around very long, and they're already running at the top of their game. Also a magazine that's run almost entirely by women, for those of you who've been wondering if the sausage party's stranglehold on mountain culture would ever crack. It's happening, Mountain Lifers. It's not happening as fast as we like, but it's happening. Beyond that, thanks to Shirai Rules and Adrian Gendro for the voiceovers and the music off the top. And be sure to check out the Mountain Life website and the store at mountainlifemedia.ca. We've been reviewing gear like fiends this spring, so there's lots of new stuff up there, and I think the story about taking my kid to the Mustang Survival Factory drops next week. Speaking of the future, Colin will be right back here in your ear holes talking to stand-up paddleboarder and adventurer Scott Parent in 2 weeks. Until then, Keep your boots tied and your schedules loose, mountain lifers, and leave the campsite better than you found it. We'll catch you on the flip side.